It's not often that museums experience theme park-sized lines and attendance. But that does happen wherever there's an infinity mirror room by Yayoi Kusama. The Institute of Contemporary Art has just acquired her largest. But her work is more than selfie scene setters, as the ICA shows us. Her art goes to infinity and beyond. The grave, gravelly voice of artist Yayoi Kusama fills this infinity mirror room. Inside, inflatable sculptures sway. It's populated by polka dots, and its matrix of mirrors make it feel cavernous at its smallest and a portal to another universe at its largest.
It's almost like a garden of color and forms, tentacles, right? This underwater or celestial garden.
Jill Medvedow is the director of the Institute of Contemporary Art, which recently acquired this room, Kusama's largest, titled Love is Calling. But it's love and death which fill this room, in the poem the Japanese artist wrote and is heard reciting.
Life, loss, death, love are, the big themes that drive so much art and so much of us, right, in our joys and in our fears. And Kusama gets that, and she doesn't shy away from it. She's a vulnerable artist.
Much has been made of the artist's vulnerability. Now 90 years old, Kusama has willingly lived in a psychiatric hospital since the 1970s. There, she has been as prolific as her polka dots, which tie directly to a childhood of abuse and the hallucinations she's experienced throughout her life. The dots and the sense of infinity are Kusama's way of what she describes as obliterating herself.
She's opening up a path to another consciousness. Her notion of this self-obliteration and her use of the polka dots are completely related. The polka dot, she refers to it as herself, connected to all of the other dots, all of the other cosmos, into, a real sense of oneness.
Whether museum visitors go deep or just stay on the surface taking selfies, Kusama's infinity mirror rooms have become major attractions over the last decade. Patrons make pilgrimages. The Kusama retrospective at the Hirshhorn in Washington broke the museum's all-time attendance records, even though visitors are limited to minutes, sometimes even seconds, inside. That, by the way, is directed by Kusama herself.
The Infinity Room arrived with a 150-page manual, and that is exceedingly specific. That comes from her studio. But she has a say even in the placement of the dots on the graphics when you walk in. She cares deeply about the control of her art and her image and her legacy, I believe.
She's so much more than just a Instagram phenomenon.
Ava Raspini is the chief curator at the ICA, which first showed a Kusama Infinity Mirror Room in 1966.
Kusama is, I think, in short, the most important and influential artist of our time. She has influenced virtually every art movement of the 20th century. Pop art, minimalism, performance art, feminist art. She's an artist that presages everything that we see today.
Kusama first came to the United States in the 1950s, after boldly writing to Georgia O'Keeffe, asking how to launch her career. O'Keeffe advised Kusama to come to the U.S. She did, quickly befriending artists like Donald Judd, Joseph Cornell, and Eva Hesse.
She gets involved with happenings, with protests. She makes sort of immersive, performative kinds of works in addition to painting, sculpture. She's in social circles with Andy Warhol.
Raspini charts Kusama's early career in this companion exhibition. Kusama's 1965 blue coat could be woven into what artists Tara Donovan or Nick Cave and his famed sound suits would do decades later. Her rooms make way for the work of artist Josiah McElhaney. Kusama wasn't just ahead of her time, she was infinitely ahead of it.
The first infinity mirror room that she made, 1965. We're now in the experience economy. We know about immersive environments. We know about large-scale sculpture. This is something we know. But 65, that's a really radical idea.
The blueprint for it all could be here, in a very early Kusama work from 1953. How exciting is it to see the beginning here?
I think very exciting, and in a way you could imagine if you were able to kind of step into this drawing, maybe it would be like what it's like to step into Love is Calling. You know, a lot of those elements are there. Not to say this is an origin drawing, but I do think there are many points within this drawing that kind of lead us to where she is now.
Which is an artist who's always given herself the room to evolve.